Jack Lawson and some others. Just do you like the depth that's coming in that's ready to get their opportunity?
I'm at some spots. I feel better, more sure, more information at some spots starting, at defensive tackle. I think we have more proven players, more guys that have a resume. A few more guys at linebacker than we had a year ago at this time. And but after that, other than Cordray Tankersley, in the secondary, there's a lot to be found out here over the course of the next 3-4 weeks. So I think it will be at a few positions, defensive end, potentially at safety, potentially at corner. That there's going to be a growing process, and we got numbers, we got bodies. And, what, I think, starting at defensive end and then in the secondary, generally speaking, just, what kind of physical and mental toughness that we're going to have. And I don't know, I don't, you feel like, we have a chance, but, playing this is a tough game for tough guys, and the great ones, if they possess something, they possess some level of toughness, and particularly in that secondary, we lost a lot of physically tough guys. We lost some skill, we lost some experience, yes, but I think that again it comes down to the physical and mental toughness that we got to find out if guys are going to have it or not, and we may not know when the first game comes. It might be mid-season, and we've got a lot to work through and to discover and to develop, how we're going to generate a pass rush. I'm not one to believe that you just, the next man up and you're going to get the same kind of production. I don't buy in that jargon. I think you guys got to go earn it. You got to develop them. You got to stress them. And sometimes it's not as good as it was, and sometimes it exceeds your expectations. And but generating a pass rush, and particularly at defensive end, I think that, there's a lot that we don't know there yet. And talent is one thing, but, a skill development is another. If it's just talent, we had, Vic Beasley in 2012 was on our roster, so was Tavares Barnes and Malachi Goodman and Corey Crawford. We couldn't sack, ourselves. We were terrible. And we developed through the year, got better as the year went on, but there's a bunch of those guys that were young, and so you have a whole list of excuses if you're looking for them, that we weren't very good. I just used that year. If it was that easy, why didn't we do it that year? It's not that easy, and I love the guys that we're working with, but just because a guy's talented doesn't mean he's a great player. That doesn't have to go hand in hand whatsoever. So there's a lot to be. Again, that to be discovered, so to speak, and again, same thing. Jadar Johnson he's got somewhat of a resume, but he wasn't good enough to beat out the starter before, and so but he's got a great opportunity now. What his physical toughness, Van Smith, Tanner Muse, Denzel Johnson, what Corinne Wiggins, who didn't participate in spring ball. Where he is in regards to, just compared to where he was before. He doesn't always, you don't have to be back where you were. He may not be. I don't know. I really have no idea. And I'm just throwing a few names, not including the incoming freshmen. And then at corner, again, you got Marcus Hedman and Mark Fields and Ryan Carter to go along with Cordray Tankersley and some other guys that are coming in. But again, what their physical and mental toughness is, I don't know. So again, sometimes you got to earn that through a course of time, and it's easy to start off strong in the first day, first week, first month, and I think we proved that last year. We kind of fizzled out a little bit last year. We sustaining success and sustaining the intensity and. Respecting the game and respecting your opponent and respecting the process. That's all, it sounds really good and easy and okay, just do X, Y, Z, but some guys have the discipline to do it and some guys don't. We were watching film with our guys last week and looking at some teach tapes and some of the clips there's a good majority of them that we were teaching from were from the 14 defense. And last year had definitely had some incredible moments, some of the most exciting plays that I've ever been a part of. But the beauty of the 14 team was through the course of whatever it was, 14 games, 13 games, whatever it was, they had patience and discipline and a toughness that you can't coach. And they had a lot to prove. They had a hunger and a sustainability that the special ones do. And so I don't want to get ahead of myself because we got a long way to go before we can say we're a good defense yet. We got to develop chemistry, and I do think we've got a solid foundation. I feel great about that. I think we have a premier player or players at all three levels, and starting up front at the defensive tackle, and Carlos and Christian and Pagano, and a host of others. And then at linebacker and Ben Boulware, and then at Cordray Tankersley in the secondary. But those are only just a few guys. As we showed last year, 10 guys are on point, and one guy want to go do his own thing, and it can be a touchdown, and you all look like a bunch of chumps. So we need to find our best 11 first and foremost, and then developing depth. And we weren't able to even get into a third down defensive package. We played one package the whole spring just because our numbers were lacking, and we have a bunch of new guys that have shown up since then, but some guys that are not injured. So we got a lot of work to do over the course of the next 3 weeks. But I love the work that guys have put in. I do think we've got some great leadership, and again, starting up front with Carlos and Christian in particular, and Pagano kind of leading that way with some young guys that like to work. And then Ben Boulware, a guy that's very emotionally and physically invested, and leading the charge, and just takes a great deal of pride and a respect for a leadership position and for the success that we've had, and trying to fight for continued success. And a guy that doesn't take things for granted. And then again, a guy like Cordray that I just think his actions speak louder than words. His maturity in choosing to come back to complete both his experience, and again to continue to develop as a young man and as a football player. That that wisdom allowed him to see things that, hey, I'm not where I want to be. I want to dominate this game, and he's got the capability of doing so. Had a terrific year last year, but he's coming back for the right reasons to lead this defense and to help build hopefully what'll be by the end of the year we can call ourselves a really good defense, if not a great defense.
Are you ready for the season?
I mean, I remember how frightened I was with the 14 defense, with all the guys coming back, and afraid that they were going to take things for granted and not work quite as hard, and so every year it's different. But as leaders, as coaches, as leaders, I think, through years of experience, the last thing you want to do is assume anything. So you got to start over every year, regardless of the talent and the experience coming back. I think you got to get back to the basics, the fundamentals, and your philosophy, what you expect of your guys, the standards, how you get to the end result, and not jump ahead of ourselves. So, there's be a lot of expectations on this football team, but those are just for everybody else on the outside looking in. Do we expect to be good? But yeah, I expect to be good in 2012, and it's very frustrating when we weren't very good. That's just our nature as coaches. So I think what I've learned through the years is that it's not real secretive, so to speak, on how to you get to a level where you're playing consistently and playing at a high level in your performance, and getting your guys to play mentally and physically tough through effort and fundamentals and technique, and then be unwavering, relentless, and pursuing those intangibles, the things that it takes to play at a really high level.